Hi, it's Mark Bossert from Top Local Lead Generation. We're here with David Fairbairn from Fairbairn Inspections in Vancouver. David, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm great, Mark. How are you doing?
Good. So we're going to be talking about thermal imaging and how does thermal imaging help you doing home inspections?
Well, Mark, thermal imaging is this relatively, I'm not going to say new technology because it's actually been around for a while, but the concept is that we can actually get to the point now where we can read heat signatures on drywall, ceilings, walls, things like that, and we can actually determine if there's hidden moisture or if there's hidden, sometimes we can find missing insulation. Sometimes we can find electrical overheating. So it's this really nice technology, and we're sort of seeing this come into the home inspection industry. And to be honest with you, Mark, we're getting a lot of people asking for it. We offer thermal imaging as a package with our home inspections, and it's getting a lot of interest from potential home buyers who basically want to get that extra level of seeing what our eyes can't see. Now, a thermal camera is basically a camera that can read infrared light. And infrared light is given off by objects in proportion to the amount of heat energy they have. So if we have an object that maybe we have a cold spot in the wall, we might not be able to see that with our own eyes, but that could be a leak. It could be something where we've got some water running down the inside of the wall, and it's on the back of the drywall. And we might not be able to see that during a standard visual home inspection. So the thermal imaging just gives us that extra insight into the property. And I like to say it's the most detailed inspection you can get. So my advice would be, if you're looking for a home inspector, try to find somebody who can offer the thermal imaging. And if you want the best inspection out there, get the thermal imaging package because it's going to give you that extra insight into the property. And most of the time, and I'm not going to say all the time, but most of the time it ends up paying for itself in terms of saving you on repair costs.
So when you're looking and finding, say, a cold spot in a place where it shouldn't be, or a hot spot, but let's talk just about a cold spot. What does that lead you to look for further? Like, how does that help you to do a
Yeah, well,
better job?
yeah, it helps us do a better job because we might not have caught that otherwise. If I'm walking through with a flashlight, I'm looking at your walls, I'm looking at your ceilings, and I'm going, okay, what, it looks pretty good. I don't see any signs of moisture coming through the wall. I have no idea if there's insulation in the wall. But pulling out the thermal camera, and I'll give you an example, Mark, like a new construction home. The builder, it passes code to get all the insulation in. Code inspectors' wheels leave the driveway, and all of a sudden these guys are pulling some insulation out. So maybe it falls out. We'll just give them the benefit of the doubt. If we can find, we can take an image of that wall, and we can see there's actually heat loss, maybe in one of the stud bays. So we can actually tell, okay, you may not actually have insulation here. Let's do some further review. In which case, we're going to recommend a contractor come in. So an example would be a house I did in South Surrey a little while ago. We basically, they had a vaulted ceiling, so there was no attic space to actually see with our own eyes. So what we did is we thermally scanned that ceiling, and sure enough, we see a big drip coming right down the middle of the ceiling. And, it wasn't showing through the drywall yet. It was running on the top of the vapor barrier. And we recommended a roofer come out. And sure enough, after they did a water test, there was actually water in the ceiling. It was a relatively new roof, and they didn't know it leaked yet. And we actually surprised the homeowners. They had no idea.
And it saved the buyers probably a ton of money in terms of not buying something that they would have to repair after the fact.
That's correct. Yeah, I think they saved about $400 or $500 on that one. It was a failed flashing. The thermal imaging package, I think they paid about 79 bucks for it. So it's a pretty good return on investment.
So does this increase the time it takes you to do an inspection? Like, how long does it take?
It does. It takes a little bit longer. One of the main things we want to do in order to get a quality thermal image, Mark, is to heat up the house. Or alternately, depending on the outdoor air temperature, we might run the air conditioning. And we're gonna run a heating or cooling system to get those interior conditions just right, so we can get the best image possible. So that takes a little bit more time, and it's a little bit more intrusive, but I feel it's worth it. And usually it only adds about 30 minutes to the whole inspection time. In a condominium, it might add about 15 minutes to the whole inspection. And it can be done fairly easily, and of course the buyers really enjoy seeing it when we take it out and we scan we can actually see in one case a little while ago, we could actually see the drywall screws everywhere in the ceiling. So we could actually tell the nailing pattern that they've done, and of course we can tell where the joists are. If you want to remove a load-bearing wall, or we may not know if it's a load-bearing wall, we can actually see, okay, well, we've got a beam here, and we've got a couple trusses here, and you can actually see the structure of the building. It's quite cool.
So how much does it cost?
For condominiums, the thermal imaging package is $39 plus tax, additional to the cost of the inspection. For a home, depending on the size, you're going to run anywhere from about $79 to $99 extra for the thermal imaging package. That includes electrical panel scanning. That includes ceilings, walls, floors. We're going to check for missing insulation. And there's a few other important things that we're going to check for that are really specific. For instance, below, if you have a two-story building and you've got some bathrooms on the second floor, you'll notice I actually have some drywall on me right now. We actually just did a thermal scan of the house in Coquitlam this morning, and the bathroom was actually, the bathtub had not been used in 20 years, and it actually leaked into the ceiling. And we scanned, of course, and we found a big leak in the ceiling, cut it out, and water came out. So this is the kind of thing that we're finding with thermal imaging. You would have no idea otherwise, and I think they're going to save about $1,000 on that one. So the 79 or 99 ends up being a pretty good deal.
Well, I think for me, that's like the money saved is nice, but not having the wonderfulness of moving into a brand new home to you, new to you home, and then having all kinds of problems happening that you did not expect. Surprise! I mean, that takes all the joy out of hey, we love our new home.
That's right, yeah, and we try to make the inspection a fun part of the home buying process where, we're just there to make sure there's no surprises when you move in, and it's also an education on the house, right? So we're going to identify defects, and we're also going to identify what you do have there, some positive points in the house, and so you have that well-rounded knowledge. And the biggest thing is when you move in, there's no surprises. That's right.
Awesome. So we've been talking about thermal imaging and how it helps in home inspections, and it sounds like it's a pretty important part of your toolkit these days. Thanks a lot, David.
Thanks, Mark.
Talk to you next week.
You too.